Yeah, he's permissive and we're submissive. That's
Right.
that's what he likes.
All right,
Yes,
go ahead.
Daddy.
He's
I'm
like
not submissive.
Yes,
Fuck
Daddy.
that. Hold on,
challenged.
let me put my mask
leather
on.
daddy.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, which one of you is the bottom bitch?
Let's put the mask on. He's fluffy. He's fluffy. It's always a fluffy
I
guy.
can't see anything.
It's always the fluffy guy.
This
You
thing's
gotta call it Dave.
thing's
Dave's
fucking
new name
heavy.
is Leather Daddy. Yes, Leather Daddy.
No, I take that back. I just started a bunch of shit.
All right, so
Oh, that's cool, dude. That's cool.
nice. So all right, so we are this easily could have been a Halloween type episode. We're coming in, a few days after Halloween. So well, first I'll say hope everybody enjoyed theirs. You guys all, I mean, you guys at least do well. Unfortunately, we're living in the COVID world. My son did go trick or treating. So anybody do anything for Halloween?
Yeah, our kids went, and we went to a haunted house, which was cool.
Nice.
We had 6 kids all night, which sucked. We stayed home, and some friends came over and helped us hand out candy to those 6 kids. So those 6 kids are going to come back next year looking for a fucking truckload of candy each, like they got.
Yeah. Nice.
Like, here,
You're known as
this.
let's go to that guy's house. He's got full candy bars.
He gave me a whole bag.
Yeah.
Basically, we did have candy to get rid of. I want that shit sitting
At the
around.
beginning of the week, my wife goes to the Aldi's and she comes home and she's got one bag of like mixed candy, like Hershey's, Reese's peanut butter cups, and she pours it in a bowl right on the table and goes, "Happy Halloween, dude." That shit was gone in like 2 days.
Oh,
gone.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Just
the
wrecked.
best.
All the
Yeah, we always
joy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
Yeah,
all
always
right.
treat yourself
not-
better, man. Gotta.
They're not
love it.
fattening. They're not when they're that small, right? They are
No.
when you.
No.
Yeah, but I
size.
usually eat like 30 of them at a time.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Those Reese's peanut butter cups.
I take them
fucking-
all and mash them together in one giant like almond joy.
Yeah.
No, but Dave, I watched I did 31 days of horror movies and
Nice.
alphabetically, which was insane, dude. Because I don't know if I watched one for X. I don't remember if there was one, but I did Halloween, the original on the night of Halloween. That was how I spent my Saturday night Halloween at home watching Michael Myers.
Dave, you'll be
Yeah.
proud. We showed we watched Halloween with the kids, and because Halloween isn't, when you watch it, you're like, this is really nothing.
How old are your
scary,
kids?
but, 15 and 13.
You are a good parent. You
And
What-
it's classic. So I mean,
What did
this
they
is
think?
more, they love it. I mean, it was
loved it?
nothing. It wasn't nothing
Nice.
too. It wasn't about the scary factor as much as it was a holiday or a Hollywood epic. A true film classic.
Right. You know what I found for Greg, I don't know what it is, but I go through these phases, and lately the phases I can't watch movies that I've seen a bunch of times. I just get bored
You
of shit.
can't really.
No, I get bored. I get bored if it's a movie.
Man.
If it's a movie I've seen, I just like to watch new movies I've never seen before. Like I watch nothing but horror. So, but I'm like, there's so much good new horror out there that it's like I don't get bored. Like I just watched one the other night called Blood Vessel. It's like it's on Shudder. It's a movie about these people it's like the end of World War II is about to come to an end, and there's this like lifeboat, and there's like 6 people on it, and they end up in the middle of the ocean, and they get up on this huge boat, the ship. It's a Nazi ship, but there's nobody on it. They find out everybody's dead, and it turns out that the Nazis were like, they had these 3 vampires on the boat, and it was like
they're vampires.
Yeah, they had
Wow,
these
that's
vampires, and they let them loose, and the vampires end up like tearing through and killing everybody. So it was I like new stuff. That's just me. I don't like to watch things I've seen, even though like my tradition is Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. I watch it every Halloween night, but I was
love
just
that
like,
one. Love it.
I do, and I watch it every Halloween. But
Have you seen the last Hellraiser that came out?
Was that not Inferno?
No, it's a guy's like he's like I haven't seen it. I meant to watch it, but the day that everything happened with Oreo when we had to say goodbye to him, that sucked. So I was gonna watch it that day, but I didn't have a chance yet.
Is it recent? Is it like in the last couple of years?
I think yeah, and it's some guy that's a cop that gets possessed or some shit like that.
Well, wait a minute. They did that before though. There was a cop in one of those, not Bloodline, but before Bloodline. I thought there was a cop that did that.
I don't know. Yeah, this is one of the newer ones, I think.
Oh.
There was a cop one that was actually one of the better. better sequels. So I don't know if that's the one or not, but there was one that was like the 6th or 7th one that actually was a decent one, and it had a cop in it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the same one.
That might be it. Yeah, I've seen that one. That one's good. That one's good. Yep.
Yeah, I saw that. And then I watched the Texas Chainsaw that came out in 2003. I watched that the other day with Arlie Army. I watched it after.
Oh, that was good. That one's decent. That's the one where they blow the hole in the chick's head in the back of the.
Yeah, she pulls it out of her woohoo and
yeah. I still like the reimagining or remake or whatever you want to call it of Friday the 13th. I thought that was really good. I like that a lot.
I like that one.
I liked it.
Is that the
opening? I mean, the opening
cabin.
Yeah. But the opening scene's like 15 minutes long, and it feels like its own mini movie that's the opening scene. But I love it, man. I really like that.
Yeah, we watched that the other day, Naomi and I.
Nice. Yeah, this is a good one. I'm not a huge fan of the franchise. There's some really bad Friday the 13th movies. Like
Takes Manhattan. That one sucks.
Yeah.
The only best part is when he kicks the radio.
Yeah, and the punks are like, what the? And he's like,
all right, man. He lifts up his mask.
Yeah.
That's like the only good part in that whole movie.
The sub actors in that movie are so bad.
That's where he punches the guy's head off too.
Yeah,
right?
He goes.
His head goes flying.
You're like, what the? Yeah,
crazy shit.
Well, that's a good lead in then, because talk about an iconic mask. I mean, everybody knows Jason with the hockey mask and Michael Myers with the William Shatner mask. Let's talk some masks and makeup.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it was interesting. It was interesting getting into like the research because you look back on the bands that wore masks or wore makeup and where that kind of inspiration came from, and for some bands this was a huge part of their identity, and for some bands you could even say like without them they wouldn't, would they have become popular? We can talk about that because there's some bands I want to ask you guys if you thought they would have become popular without their masks or their makeup. But I'm going to give you a quick rundown. This is it, just a quick rundown of masks and makeup. It's not going to be long. So I just did a little bit of research. So masks, first band to wear masks is credited to a band called The Residents, which I was not familiar with.
Yep,
The Residents. Yep.
Yeah, they've been around
like 77 or 73 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they actually formed way back in 69, but they didn't start using the masks until I think it was 77, but they had these eyeball masks that they made famous over the course, and they're still around today. And over the course of the last 40 years, they've released 50 albums and EPs. So, but the next band that they credit is a band that became famous for using masks was Guar. So that's 84 was when they formed. Obviously we all know about Guar.
Yep.
The Dave Rocky, the rest in peace, Oderus Urungus. I mean, that was a band that wasn't just masks, that was full body, everything. And that was that was their identity.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. They didn't use their real names.
Masks,
exactly.
prosthetics, everything. Yep.
Yep. Next, credit is given to Lordi, even though people think they came out after Slipknot. They technically formed in 92. So that's Finland's Lordi. Then another band that came out technically before Slipknot is Mushroom Head. That's Cleveland's Mushroom Head.
Cleveland,
yeah.
They're respectable. Mm-hmm.
Yep, 94 is when they formed, and they actually predate Slipknot. Even though a lot of people think Mushroom Head ripped off Slipknot, they actually were around before them. There was a hardcore punk band called The Locust from San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
They're on they're on I talk about them.
Cool.
I've seen them live. They're fucking great.
Nice.
Crazy, but they're great.
Yeah, and there was a band called Portal from Australia. They formed in 94. They did that hooded look that Sun became kind of famous for, but they did it first.
And Batushka does it too.
Yes. I've seen Batushka. Those guys are pretty wild. And then Slipknot, of course, their first show ever was Halloween 95. That's when, of course, Sean Crahan started the idea for the masks and then exploded from there. So obviously everybody knows about Slipknot. They're probably one of the most famous instances of people wearing masks. And then as our friend Mr. Gates here has the mask there, we have, even though Ghost, Tobias has the makeup, but the rest of the band has, Papa Emeritus has the makeup, but the rest of the band wears the masks. So they kind of combine the two. And then real quickly to makeup, there's fewer examples. So Screamin' Jay Hawkins and Arthur Brown did
put
makeup.
a spell on me, and what's that one? I give you fire. That guy.
Yeah.
The flaming
awesome.
helmet and shit.
Yeah. I know.
Dude, that is the most bizarre live, lip sync video stage show I have ever seen on YouTube. That shit is. What year was that?
That was the
30s,
60s. That was like the
60s?
late 60s.
Yeah.
That the Arthur Brown guy, I know Bruce Dickinson loved him, and Maiden kind of borrowed some stuff from him. I know Bruce said he loved Arthur Brown.
Oh yeah.
And then this is a good story about Alice Cooper. So apparently Alice Cooper did not invent the makeup. And this is according to the book of the original bass player, Dennis Dunaway. This said this supposedly happened September 8th, 1970. He had seen a poster outside of Max's Kansas City in New York. And there was a poster of like a clown's face wearing spidery makeup. And this guy, Dennis, suggested to Alice that he do this. So he wore the makeup that night. And that was the same night that Bob Ezrin, the famed producer, came and basically checked the band out and ended up signing them after that night. So 1970 was the first time Alice wore the makeup. And as we all know, I mean, I think one of my favorite bands, Kiss, January 30th, 1973, it was the first time they wore makeup, and then they played, I guess it was like January 30th, February 1st. They wore three shows they wore the makeup. That was the first time they did the iconic characters. And then it was the mid 70s where Twisted Sister started wearing the makeup. The Misfits started doing it in the late 70s.
Yep.
And I'm going to get to this a little bit more with the corpse paint and the black metal bands doing the corpse paint. And then of course you have Ghost, which is much more recent. So I just wanted to run through that. So just a kind of a quick kind of, backstory on some of the use of masks and makeup. But who wants to start with the question of, how important is our masks and makeup to the bands that have used them, and why are they important? Like, why was makeup and masks important? Pick a band, one of you guys, like Bill, pick a band or bands. Why was makeup important, or a mask, and why did it help the band so much?
I think, well, you figure the mystique or not knowing who, and I think the better musician that you were, people really didn't give. I mean, people always want to see, if you wear a mask, somebody always wants to know what you look like underneath. But I think if you played really well, the mask kind of turned into a character. Like with the majority of all the people that wear these masks, they're characters. And does this bleed over after they do it so long? Does that character does a person, evolve into the character, or do they mesh together? Probably a little bit, but I think it was important. I think they're important. I think it's cool because it's different. These people had the balls to do this because I mean, think about it. Back then, like when Kiss, for example, you got four guys coming out playing rock and roll, wearing fucking makeup, kabuki makeup. And well, at the beginning it was like a half-ass kabuki, really ugly drag queen or whatever you want to, call it. And people were like, what the fuck are these guys? But they were good. And it was different. I think it was something different. I think it's important to have those people, to have those types of bands and all the ones that we have and that we're all going to talk about. Go forward, there wasn't, like you talked about all these different bands that had it and did it and wore masks and did stuff like that, or makeup or corpse paint and stuff like that. Then when Slipknot started, I think they really took it and ran with it. Because you got, not only you have 9 fucking crazy bastards up on stage, you've got them all ape shit crazy, but they're good. Like, they're writing good songs. They're playing really good, their instruments they're flawless on the way that they play. And, visually, people listening to them, seeing them and everything else, they're like, whoa, who the hell are these guys? Like, where'd these guys come from? I think that, that Slipknot just kind of like happened overnight, but no, those guys were plugging away for, at least 5 or 6 years before getting noticed and, getting picked up and getting to work with Ross Robinson. So they took it. I think Slipknot took it and pushed it even more, and they still do it today. And I think that the way that they've evolved with their masks, they don't go totally crazy away from the original, but they change them up every album cycle. And I think that's cool because they change their look, they change the stage setup and everything else. They keep it fresh. Kind of bands do that don't have the makeup and the mask, like a band like Iron Maiden. They have the most amazing stage setup. But Slipknot does that also with, they have the visual with the makeup, with the masks and their stage show. So you're like visually overloaded. You're like, holy fuck. I mean, because Greg and I saw Slipknot in, was it 2013 or 14?
Yeah, at Mohegan.
And his buddy. Yeah.
Yep.
And I was just like, holy fuck. Like their stage show was amazing. I mean,
the
setup was amazing. And then they were all, everything was different about their masks, but they went off. You know what I mean? To be able to do that and go off like that and run around and be as crazy as you are with a fucking suit on or whatever and a mask for 2 hours, that's fucking nuts. So that's my take on it.
Lord Gates, so how much did masks or makeup affect whether you like, if you like the band, or did it add a mystique to them, as Bill was just talking about? Like, so what are some of your bands that you gravitated towards maybe because they wore masks or makeup?
Well, I've always been a big fan of Guar. Everybody knows that. I mean, I saw them on the Scumdogs of the Universe tour in Boston and was hooked immediately, but it was the shock value, because I love horror movies and I love anything with violence and craziness and mosh pits and blood and, fucking, you go see them and you're watching like anarchy happen on stage, but it makes you forget of all the other bullshit that's going on in the world. You walk in there and all of a sudden these aliens come out and they're covering people in cum and blood and goo and snot and whatever, and they're cutting people's heads off. It's a giant stage show. But I think that bands that wear makeup and wear masks, I think it's very it's an individual thing. For instance, I know that the Misfits are horror themed, so that's why they dressed in the horror stuff, and their songs are about Halloween and Ghouls Night Out and fucking Night of the Living Dead. They were influenced by old horror movies, and they became something, not just a punk band, but bigger than that. A band like the Mentors, okay, those guys just put shit on because they were dirtbags. El Duce was just a complete crazy, insane guy, but that's what drew people into their shows, because it was the bag and dirtiness, and a lot of times too, some of these bands just throw the makeup on because it lets them hide, it lets them be on stage if they have a fear of crowds or something. They're hidden behind this. A band like Sun, with Greg, being in the band Sun, he's always said he wanted the music to be first. He wanted to stand in the background, kind of like Maynard from Tool. Maynard from Tool wears all the crazy shit, but he's in the background. Can't see him, but he's an amazing singer. And I think most of these bands were either creating a new genre or elaborating on something. Like you're going to talk about, like, one of my favorite bands is Mayhem. I mean, and when Mayhem started, they put the paint on because they just wanted to look dead on stage, and have pigs' heads and blood and cut themselves and all that shit. It created some type of, it kept people interested, but were a little scared. And then they're like, oh man, these guys. And then little by little, it started to steamroll out of control. And I have a list of 30 bands here. Okay. And it starts great. And then it ends pretty bad with some terrible band, like fucking Necro Goblin. Okay. You've heard of Necro Goblin? That shit's weird. It's a guy dressed up like with a goblin, and it's weird. But I'll tell you what, aside from the metal portion of it, I think one of the founding fathers of the whole makeup on stage thing, persona, creating a separate entity that people admired, was David Bowie. Bowie did the Starman, Ziggy Stardust, and he wanted to create a character that was an alter, image of him, and just had fantastic writing partner and decided this is what I'm going to do. Took a huge chance. And I think there's a trailer out now for that movie Stardust that's coming out. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for it, but it shows Bowie when he did Space Oddity. And then it's going to transform him into Ziggy because he's not getting enough exposure. And, you know, his publicist is like, dude, people are going to come and see you. You got a great voice, but you're a fucking dime a dozen. Do something different, create a character. So I think Bowie and Alice Cooper were kind of like the godfathers of creating that alter image where people were like, you know what? It's okay to be a freak and go to these shows and put my makeup on and just do and be what I want to be.
Yep.
So, Jay, what's your reflection on some of the bands that wore masks and makeup, and were there, you know, you could talk about Kiss. We're definitely going to talk about Kiss, but is there anybody else that jumped out at you or stood out because they wore masks or makeup, or you were particularly attracted to for that reason?
Yeah, I'm Rob Zombie. When he went solo, he kind of kicked up. He kind of took the theatric, the art school, the artist mentality, the creating a show and a persona. Then he went a little further than he did with White Zombie, caricature or character. So yeah, I think you got to talk about Rob Zombie because he kind of lays it out that this is an art school influence, and you'll find that you probably have a lot of art school influence with the guys who were thinking about
Guar.
how do we do something different than just
Guar
get on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the prosthetic. Yeah. I agree with that, Jay, wholeheartedly, because that was one of the when I went and saw them. I don't remember, it was 2000, 2001, somewhere in there, 99. And Reagan and I went, I'm not sure who we went with. It might have been some of you guys, but we went and saw Korn and Rob Zombie. And holy fuck, we were on the floor. That was like when the fire was going off for Rob Zombie. We were out of ways, and it was hot as fuck out there. I'm like, holy shit. But it was insane, man. I mean, it was
right.
It was excellent. And like he's always had the props on stage, the amazing stage show. And yeah, they've always worn makeup or something when he was with, ever since his solo. And I think that really brought him out and was like appealed to a lot of people. You know what I mean? They were like, oh fuck yeah, this is cool. Like he doesn't give a fuck. He's really going over. So
Jay, I got a question for you. So you mentioned Rob Zombie. Were you still impressed or interested in Rob Zombie when he put that album out? What is it? Something Horses?
Educated Horses.
Were you still interested in going to see him on that album? Because that was a strip. I saw him live. I think it was either Ozfest or Ozfest, but he was on the side stage and he was completely stripped down, very basic stage show, no fire, no makeup. He had the cowboy hat with the dreads and the shit. Were you still digging the non-horror makeup Zombie?
Yeah, because he's such a great songwriter that I'm going to be a fan of what he does regardless.
Yeah,
definitely.
See, that's for me.
Oh, so that goes to your question, Dave. Was it Dave that asked, does the makeup make or break the band? Can the music stand on their own? Can the music stand on its own?
Well, that's what I want to get to with Kiss. Cause I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I've ever asked Greg before. I mean, me and Jay grew up on Kiss. I mean, Bill's huge into Kiss. How about you, Greg? Are you a big Kiss fan?
Yeah.
Or no?
First album was the Alive that I ever got. Alive.
All right, so it's good. I wanted to start with that because I want to ask you guys a question. As all fellow big Kiss fans, I'm a massive Kiss fan. But this is so the makeup could work. The makeup could maybe work against you just in this sense. So let's say you're Kiss, and for me, I love Kiss's music, and the question I have is, do you think that Kiss's music, without let's say it was 1973, 1974, and Kiss came out without the makeup, or, you know what I mean? I guess what I'm trying to say is, would Kiss's music have stood out and been good enough if they never wore the makeup, or did they have to wear the makeup to get to where they got?
I think they had to wear it. I think it was so specific with them that they looked, because they are good musicians, but no, I don't. 70s, I think they needed it to get the start, because when they took their makeup off, you know, lick it You know, it was still good, but it wasn't quite Kiss. You're like, So back in the 70s, I don't think it would have stood up on it. I don't think they would have had the following that they did if they didn't do any sort of stage show makeup or anything like that.
I guess for me, what always bothered me when I was as a fan of Kiss when I was young was like people would say, you know, their music sucks or they're shitty musicians. And the only reason they're popular, but no, and their music didn't suck either. That's what drives me nuts is their music was good. You know what I mean?
It was catchy and yeah.
No, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
No, you go ahead, Phil.
I was going to say, I agree with what Greg said and what you're talking about. I agree just for this fact alone. And I was going to be like, but think of this. Think of when the first Kiss album come out.
Like 73,
1974.
74? Okay.
74.
Yeah,
okay.
74.
So think about this. I think they needed the makeup because the makeup set them apart because people were like, fuck yeah, man, I'm going to see this band. These motherfuckers make up and they're crazy and it's guy blows fire. Okay, that gimmick, the makeup and everything, it's a gimmick or whatever you want to call it, like their forte. But think about this. How many amazing bands were around in 74?
Oh, shit tons, dude.
Fucking ton.
Yeah, like arena style bands, like huge.
Yes, like Zeppelin.
The Who.
Okay.
Fucking
The Who, right.
Sabbath.
1974 rock.
Sabbath, Purple.
Let's see who they'd have to be going against here.
Everybody.
The Rolling Stones, Queen, Leonard Skinner, Bachman Turner Overdrive.
There you go.
Jethro Tull. Yeah.
Zeppelin.
Oh shit. Zeppelin.
See what I mean? So
oh yeah, dude.
So that's what you have to do to get you know what I mean, to get to that crowd or to get you above that window.
And in New York too. You got to understand. And in New York, the epicenter of that births all kinds of genres of music. So yeah, you're right, Bill. Yeah.
But I still think that, you know, if at the end of the day the music was shit, Kiss could have done the best stage show ever and had the coolest makeup, but it wouldn't have, you know what I mean? It wouldn't have lasted. It would have been a one or two albums and they would have faded away. What kept people coming around was, I do think it was because, you know, you had Rock and Roll All Night, which became an anthem for rock and roll. And then that was on Alive. So it didn't hit when it was on Dress to Kill. It hit when it was on Alive. And then they followed that up with what I still think is their best studio album ever. And people debate this, but Destroyer was when Bob Ezrin came in. It was like, you know, we're going to take things to the next level. Like, this isn't going to be just another Kiss album. You guys have to follow up Alive with something epic. So they came in and did, you know, massive production, and they made every guy in the band a better player. Like, they were like, you know, it was probably Peter's best album as a drummer. I mean, they pushed and pushed and pushed these guys to be better than they had ever been. And they did, you know, this layered, lush, you know, awesome album. And, you know, to me, you can't deny the power of songs like Detroit Rock City. I mean, that's epic, Absolutely. Man. That's epic. Yeah. Shout It Out Loud. Timeless. And King of the Nighttime World. I mean, that was. Right.
But Dave, do you think now? I agree with you. By saying there was a bunch of great bands in 74, I wasn't saying that they weren't good musicians. They were as good as the majority of those bands. I think the makeup pushed them up. But think about this. I think that the positivity they had with the makeup gave them the like the, you know, the power to push through it. You know what I mean? Like the motivation.
Oh yeah, lifted them up. Yeah.
I think that's I agree. In the makeup, they gave them the confidence to be like, fuck yeah, we're Kiss. Like, this is us, man.
We got a doll. So, look, we got this is us. We got a doll.
Yeah, we got a doll after us.
Well, check this out.
30 years later, people are going to be charging $500 for them on eBay. Yeah.
Well, Bill, I think you're onto something, because here it is. All right. The confidence you get to come out in 74 and say, I'm the greatest motherfucker on earth and we're the greatest band on earth. And most people are like, who are these guys? We can't dispute who they are. Yeah, exactly. They're the nutsacks on these guys.
Yeah.
Brass cojones, they're so huge that, and no one can question it because they're like, well, we don't know who these guys are. So I guess they are.
Right.
So, I want to bring in, come here. I'm going to bring in, so I have to ask one of the youngest Kiss fans. I know. So
I'm scared. Who's that
you
guy? Don't stab
mask. Wear a mask to the mask episode. So I want to ask you, Mason.
Yes.
Did you like Kiss when you first started listening to Kiss? Did you like them? How much difference did the makeup make? I mean, did you like them because of the makeup? I mean, how did that make them seem more cool to you because they wore all that cool makeup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because when I saw them without the makeup in their albums, I just didn't think if I felt like it made a difference on the songs that they made.
Really? So the music sounded even better
That is
because
true.
they
You're
looked
right.
cool?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because they had to then change their music to fit
Yeah.
the
From the mouth of
style
Little
of the
Dave. See that?
time.
Was it Animalized? It was Animalized, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, buddy. Thank you. High five.
Thanks,
buddy.
Mason. Good job,
Thanks,
buddy.
high five.
See,
Another
I told
So
you.
good
literally,
parent.
yeah, because I mean,
Another
you
good
think about
parent
what are
right
your
there.
favorite Kiss songs? Do you put the non-makeup Kiss songs in any of your top five?
16.
No, but if you want to get into what I will say though is the non-makeup Kiss, and I do think though they had jumped the shark. By the time they took the makeup off, I think they felt like they had jumped the shark and they had nothing else left to do to shock the modern popular culture other than to take the makeup off. You know what I mean? Like they had nothing else left to do that would have been shocking to anyone. But Paul carried the band in the 80s, and his thing was, and Kiss has always been like this. They adapt to whatever music is popular at the time, at least ever since the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
So starting with I Was Made for Loving You, Kiss became a band that would adapt to whatever was popular at the time. So they make a disco song, and then the 80s come around and they start wearing the pastel colors and
and all
tight
the little peacock feathers.
Yeah,
and
animal,
shit.
animal
Yeah.
prints.
Yep.
Yeah,
Animalized.
they started to jump with the trendy genres.
They did.
Animalized.
And Gene was off doing movies and hanging out with other people, and he was totally disinterested in the band, and so Paul had to take the reins, and he wrote almost all of the music from Lick It Up. Well, Vinnie Vincent wrote a lot of music on Lick It Up, but from like Animalized, Crazy Nights, Hot in the Shade, Paul wrote almost all of
And you
that
can
music.
tell because
So,
he's got a
and
very
it-
distinct
Mm-hmm.
party boy. All right, you know. He's got that whole
I'm over here.
flamboyant party fucking. You could tell the songs he writes easily.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like to what Mason said though, like, I mean, part of being a kid and loving Kiss was like looking at the album cover and seeing their makeup and listening to the music, and it all tied together. It wasn't like one was separate from the other. It all tied together when you listen to it as a kid. It was the mystique of the band and the makeup and the album cover and all that stuff figured into the love of the music. They worked together.
They were so powerful. They did that shitty TV movie.
Hey, you shut your mouth about
watch yourself.
No, I
watch
say that.
Shut your mouth, Greg Gates.
Phantom of the Park,
Shitty-
come on. Kiss meets
Shitty
Phantom
is
of the Park.
fantastic, dude. Let me tell you, it's the worst, best.
It makes no
movie.
sense. It has
Dude,
no
when
plot.
those-
The
when
plot's
those-
fucking all over.
Yeah, dude. Best
not
scene is
even-
those tall lifeguard chairs, and they're wearing
Yeah.
robes.
It's-
I don't
not
know,
even
Star
what's his
Child.
name's
What do you
voice.
think?
It's not even what's his name? The guitarist
Peter
voice.
Chris is
Freely.
no Peter Chris.
I know.
No, it's
Peter
no,
Chris.
Freely.
Peter Chris's
wasn't it?
voice is not his.
Who's
No.
the one that goes ah? It's him. The Star Child.
Oh, the
no, not Star
Auk.
Child.
Auk.
Ah, the guitarist.
Yeah, the awk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah. He
I see
couldn't.
that.
It's like he was so baked or so wrecked on cocaine. They were like, "Don't even let him talk," And,
Well, it was
dude,
visually stimulating as a kid too. Like
Yeah, because
you got to
see
all
it.
that. You were like, oh,
do you,
Yeah.
do you remember when they're
Whole lives to
fighting?
see it.
Do you remember when they're fighting by the roller coaster at the
oh, it's
end?
the best.
Dude,
That
the
movie's the fucking
stunt,
best.
the stunt double for
But it's a
Ace
black guy.
Frehley
It's
is
a
a
black
black
guy.
guy.
He's really makeup. Yes. Yes. They interview the guy like years later, like 30 years later. He's like, yeah, I showed up. I was
That's
supposed
great.
to get someone else. They're like, hey, we need you to get
Like,
this
come
makeup.
here.
He's like, I'm African American. He's a white guy. They're gonna know the difference. Like, don't worry about it. It'll be
we'll put some
fine."
makeup on you.
Yeah.
You're like, dude,
Yeah. Put some makeup. He's
that's the
like,
darkest kiss guy
"All
I've ever seen. Yeah.
Well, this is another. I'm going to take the same question about Kiss. I'm going to apply it to Slipknot. So, do you guys think Slipknot would have become as popular as they did if they didn't have makeup and if it was, or the masks, and it was just about the music, or how much of their masks played into the success of Slipknot?
That's
I
a
would say
50
that first album, they were so aggressive that they still kicked a lot of, they kicked everybody's ass.
Yeah, with 9 guys.
You had that many guys, you had percussionists and layers and levels of guitar. They were playing heavy, fast, dark. It had everything. Sick vocals.
What year was that? 94?
No, 98.
Yeah, 98.
They were in the 99 Ozfest, but
okay, 98. I think the mass though really added to it, because there was a shit ton of people in the band, but dude, let me tell you what, going to see them live was, I'm going to see these dudes in masks and jumpsuits and banging on garbage cans and jumping all over the place.
Yeah,
it wasn't just the mask; it was the whole enchilada.
Yeah, and that, but I think Dave was right. You got the masks, you got the outfits, obviously.
Yeah, the jumpsuits or whatever.
You got all the band members. You got the fact that they're all phenomenal fucking musicians.
Yeah,
like they're all top of their, like Sean Crahan putting that band together, fucking nailed it. I mean, because he got the best from Des Moines, Iowa. What is there to do in Des Moines, Iowa? You see any interview? Nothing. That's why they're so fucking good. They played their instruments. And then you've got the fact that they're all into very different shit, but a lot of the same. Like some of their songs on Iowa, dude, are straight up fucking death metal riffs.
Oh yeah.
Straight up death metal. I don't give a fuck. I'll argue with anybody on that. And even a lot of the stuff throughout all the albums, those are death metal riffs. Just, you got Corey Taylor singing over them. So
yeah.
Well, you know, for I was still, and I still am to a degree, but I mean, I was still at that time period. I was spending a lot of time as a music freelance journalist, and the one thing I can say about that time of my life is that I would get stuff from Roadrunner all the time. Like I would get advances. You know, I'd get 3 or 4 advances a month, and this was, I'm sure, the same as a lot of other music journalists at the time. What would get you to actually stop what you're doing and listen to that advance? Because it's a band you've never heard of before. So I get this advance about Slipknot, never heard of them before, nor had anybody, because I was getting it before most people. Yeah. You get the advance and you see the promo, and it's got these guys in these crazy masks. Okay, well, me as a music journalist, shit, yeah, I'm going to play that, because look at this, looks different. This actually looks like something that I've got to listen to. You know what I mean? So at that, yeah, exactly. So at that time, there were plenty of advances that I never listened to, just because I didn't have the time. You know what I mean? I'm working a full-time job and I'm freelancing on the side. I didn't have time to listen to every single advance that came to me, but you better believe I listened to that one. And as soon as I started listening to it, I was hooked. I was like telling Bill and anybody else that I knew at the time, like, you got to listen to this, man. These guys are going to blow up.
That's the one. That's the same one that you gave me. That's that advance that you gave me years ago.
Okay, that's the same one, is it? Okay.
Same one, yeah.
Because I probably got a
used
couple.
to listen to them and give, and then that and Amen, I remember 2 of them you gave to me that I still have.
Was there ever a band, Dave, you kind of touched on it with Slipknot. Was there ever a band that you guys heard first and then realized they were doing Makeup and Mass after?
That's a good question.
Actually, Guar, because I heard Guar on the radio. I heard Guar. Was Scumdogs the first album? I think it was, right?
Well, no. Hello was the first. Hello was the first one, but Scumdogs was the big.
Yeah.
Big
what's the big song off Scumdogs?
Sick of You.
Is that that? I think that's the one I heard on a radio show.
Yeah, they played it all the time.
Who the fuck are these guys? So yeah, next thing I know, and then because the only way, think about it, the kids and the fucking people are younger, not kids, but anybody fucking younger than 30 doesn't realize the struggle to see and figure out who the fuck these bands, what they look like, who they were. We had to get a magazine. Like I had to go.
Yeah.
We had to go to Pevner's.
Yep.
Remember Pevner's? We had to go to Pevner's Drugs.
Yeah.
They had all the metal magazines.
Yep.
So I'd go there like every other Saturday or every third Saturday, and they put out they had like Rip. Sometimes they had Kerrang.
They had like Circus, Cream, and shit.
So you had to go. Rip was the best one, though. I mean, in my opinion, Rip was one of the best magazines for metal.
Well, the style of music that we were listening to, I don't think really was certain radio friendly, with the exception of like Alice Cooper and Kiss, and then later on
late night,
with Zombie and shit. But I just I remember I got into Kiss because I saw the record. My cousin gave me the record and said, "Look at this. This is what these guys look like." And I was like, wow, they sound amazing. Same thing with Twisted Sister. They were on fucking MTV all the time. Same with Motley Crue. Saw the album. Oh, those chicks are cool looking. No, those are dudes. Oh, okay. Never mind. But at an early age, listening to Alice Cooper, I didn't know what he looked like because I had never seen, except for like an album cover, you know, like Killers or whatever. I'd never seen anything. And then he did a special on TV, like one of those late night specials.
What's his name? The same one that Kiss did, I think. Didn't
Yeah, no, not Paul Lynn. He was on the Muppet Show. He was on the Muppet Show, and he was on something else. He was on like, you know, kind of like Whistle Stop or something like that. But I remember Old Whistle Test, I think is what it was, or something like that. I remember seeing it, or Don Kirshner's party thing, or whatever it was called. And I remember tuning in and watching it, going, "Whoa, that guy looks like he's in a horror movie. Who the hell is that?" And it was like Welcome to My Nightmare and all that. Just got huge, man.
I will say there's one band that I did not know they wore makeup or masks, but I fell in love with the music, and that was Ghost, because I saw the album cover. That's what sold me. Like, I was on Blabbermouth and I saw the cover of the first album, which I still think is their best album cover. It's like, you know, yeah, and it's got this, like, you know, that castle house haunted place looking in the background, and I was like, I got to listen to this. I need to listen to this. So I did, and loved it immediately. And it wasn't until I went on YouTube to start look for some live shows that I saw that the Papa wore the makeup and the monk
bishop thing.
Bishop. Exactly. And the other guys were anonymous with
the
those
nameless
masks.
Schools. Yep.
Yeah.
We all went and saw him in Orlando, right?
Yes,
absolutely. You guys with? Yeah.
I saw him with my buddy up in Boston with Blood Ceremony, Ancient Wisdom. They were phenomenal. And I heard about him when what's his name from Metallica wore the ghost shirt in an interview.
Yep.
Yeah, James Hetfield. And I was like, who the fuck is that? And then 2 days later, my buddy calls me up. He's like, dude, that band Ghost? Oh my God, check them out. And it was all creepy organ and, you know, Lucifer, you know, all evil shit.
Yeah. So I've seen them. I think it's 4 times now I've seen them. But and they're I'm going to talk about them later. They're on my list. But what I liked about Ghost was that was at a, you know, of course, Slipknot had been around for a while, but it seemed like it had been some time before a new band came out that did the masks or the makeup thing. Like it had been a while. Like, we hadn't seen a band kind of emerge, and this was, I think, 2010 when Ghost emerged. So it had been a good 10 plus years before somebody had tried that gimmick, if you want to call it that.
Right.
So it was the first time in a while that somebody had tried that. And it seems like that you don't go any more than at least 10 years before somebody, you know, does it again. Here, let me ask you guys a question. If you could hand pick, or if there was something that you would like to see somebody do or somebody try, like, what would actually attract your attention from a new band doing masks or makeup? Like, what would you like to see? What would be cool to you?
That is a really good question. Oh, can I tell you what I don't want to see? I'll tell you what I don't want to see. There's some band that's out there right now, and it's 3 guys, and they wear the Trump mask, the Putin mask, and the Kim Jong-un.
I saw those. Yeah, I saw it.
That shit is weird. Yeah, it's all
weird
instrumental.
that they look just like
that is weird. They're called the I don't know, apocalyptic something, or the
some space dude.
It
they're
is
fucking really good. That video is funny as shit.
It's good. It's good music, but they look like, you know, like the giant baby head mask. You know, I don't care for that. One of the I like the horror theme stuff. The robes, you know, there was a band that came out, terrible band name, but great music. Do you remember the band called Goblin Cock?
I remember the name. I don't
remember the name. They had 2 albums. It's a great name.
Not gobbling, not gobbling.
No,
cock,
but goblin,
like
goblin, like I'm a goblin, you know, and then cock as in cock. But
they should change it to goblin.
Yeah,
goblin.
But they did kind of like the Ghost thing where they wore, you know, those muslin robes, you know, the whatever they are, the fucking Celtic robes and shit. No face, you can't see their face or anything. And their music is really good. It's like kind of stoner rock mixed with a little bit of electronica. But I don't know, man. I think the makeup thing has kind of been done 6 ways to Sunday, and I think the mask thing is reached its peak. You know, there's not a lot of decent bands coming out right now that are doing the whole mask thing. They're kind of really just
we're all wearing fucking masks.
Yeah.
I think somebody will, though. It seems like somebody always does. You know what I mean? Like you might have thought it was done with
Ghoul,
like
the band Ghoul. There you go. The band Ghoul is like Guar. They're new, semi-new, a few years old. They did it with the night of the scarecrow mask with the hole in the eye, like the burlap sack and blood, everything. I like shit. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
I just think it'll be one of those things that, you know, you'll forget about it for a while, and then somebody will put their own spin on it that they, you know, that's never been done before, and then you'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool and fresh. You know what I mean? But it always, like, you know, the fact that when Slipknot did it, I don't think, you know, even though Mushroomhead and Lordy were technically around before Slipknot, they got noticed because of Slipknot. Like Mushroomhead's popularity, or whatever popularity Lordy had, I think it increased because of Slipknot. So you'll get, I think you might get some people that do something similar to what Ghost did or is doing, but because it's like, because, you know, obviously things go in cycles. But and the other one I wanted to mention, and I know you're a fan of this, Greg, is the corpse paint thing. I mean, that changed an entire genre of music because, you know, like what Mayhem and Euronymous and Dead did with the corpse paint, it revolutionized black metal. Like you didn't do black metal unless you did the corpse paint. It changed everything, and it became like that became its own culture.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I think the bands that kind of follow that, well, you know, like obviously like a Bath and fucking Dimmu Borgir and bands like hold on, I wrote
Immortal.
down one. Immortal. Oh, Behemoth also kind of took that as well.
Behemoth.
Yeah, because they made that music. I mean, they look like their fucking music sounds evil. They wanted to be evil. I mean, these are dudes back in the day who were burning churches down and just doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do, and then it just started spiraling out of control. But yeah, you couldn't, you know, Mayhem's music. If you played Mayhem's music for someone and didn't show them what they look like, they could probably go, these guys sound like fucking zombies, or they look like, you know, evil. And then you show them a picture, go, yeah, that's exactly what they look like. Yep. I would have thought that totally. He would have blown his brains out. Yep. Yep. So yeah, that culture was pristine.
So before we move on to our list, does anybody else want to, you know, inject something about masks or makeup? Because I may be missing a very important point. So before we move on, does anybody want to mention
I just think
anything?
you talked to bands, other bands. I think Behemoth was one of those bands that came out. You know, when they came out of the gate too, wearing all the stuff, you know, the garb and everything to be, you know, one of the most satanic, I think, death metal.
Yeah.
I don't really call them black metal or death metal. I think they're kind of a mix. I think they kind of took it and fucking ran with it, because people, a lot of people saw them open for Slayer, and they were supposed to they stopped right before the show that I saw in
I saw that
because it was Napalm Death and Lamb of God opened up for them. So, and Anthrax.
I saw him with Testament.
Yeah, Bohemian and Testament. Yeah, but Behemoth was supposed to open, and they stopped right before. That was the last show. But anybody I talked to that saw them were like, dude, these guys are not fucking around. Like, they believe everything that they fucking talk about, sing about, and are about. They are firm believers. This is not an act. Like, they are into everything that they fucking talk about. And if you watch some of their videos, that shit's fucking scary, man.
Oh, it's creepy.
Dave, you asked about
it's creepy shit. The early shit's creepy.
Yeah, you had asked about what's something you'd like to see that's different, and I agree with Greg as far as like horror, but I'd like to see something a little different, like something more of like a mix of what kind of like Rob Zombie does, like what Neurosis used to do with the video screens.
Yeah, the
something
imagery,
like a mixture of those. Yeah, so horror, the video, and something, and almost like Amon Amarth. Like they don't wear makeup or anything like that, but Amon Amarth has scenes with Vikings acted out on stage while they're playing.
Yeah.
All right.
So to me, that's something that you got to mention them in this in this just for the fact that that's something different. There's not I mean, the other bands kind of do it here and there, but I think Amon Amarth stands out as far as all that stuff with doing that. So
yeah, I think the key is it's not just music, and we talked about the art school or artistic aspects. It's the full theatrics where you can't go as a regular, in your regular skin flesh. You have to have a persona on top of it because you're telling a story and these guys aren't the actors in the story. The characters that they're portraying are the actors in the story. And that's what all these guys are doing. Theatrics is one aspect, and reading about how Paul Stanley he said, for us, being on stage was so sacred that it was like a religious experience. So therefore we couldn't just go in jeans and t-shirts. So it made me think like, when you go to church and the priest is wearing robes, there's tons of robes, candles, there's incense, going to see Wagner doing a Viking epic on stage.
it's a ceremony.
There you go.
Ceremony.
Yeah.
There it is. Ceremony. And you can't, and you're telling a story. It's ceremonial. It's sacred. You have to wear some sort of outfit. You have to wear some sort of uniform. Yep. And I think that's really,
that's deep. That's good. That's good. Jay.
Yeah.
That's excellent because that's deep and it makes sense and it is ceremonial. Some people like, oh, it's just fucking music. Though. Those are the people that are either the purists or the people that don't fucking feel music when they listen to it. They listen to music because it's the fucking flavor. Like we've talked about for fucking years. We've been saying this 20 something years. We've been saying it, the flavor of the month. And, they're going to see these bands because, they're playing them on the radio. They're fucking playing their video. They're doing this. That's the only reason these people show up to see fucking shows. And those are the people that don't feel music or don't, can't relate to this, I think, on that
That's
level,
right.
on the level that we're talking about.
Two of the because we go to music. I mean, the four of us, our love for music of all the genres that we're into, it's a spiritual thing. It's deep. We're not superficial with what we're doing. So that's why we understand and appreciate.
Nor do we take it lightly. You know
right.
what I mean? Now, when's the last time we got to see a live show? So now we're,
Two of the bands that I actually went to go see live that I love their music and then fell in love with the live show was Mr. Bungle was the first one because that shit was bananas on that first album. That first album, that live show was just absolutely bananas. And then this new record is like a fucking thrash record, like speed metal. It's great.
Yeah, Scott Ian was talking about it this week. I was reading.
Yeah. And then the other one was Manson. When Marilyn Manson played with Clutch, it was the first.
That was a great show.
Record. Yeah, it was fucking great. If the Club Baby had just insane show, but that was what was his first record? The
Smells Like Children, or
no, before that, the actual album. This motherfucker's gonna get my medal had Lunchbox on it and shit. That he started his persona, but then the next full album with what is it, Antichrist Superstar?
Yeah.
That concert was, like you said, Jay,
Portrait of an American
Family. But Antichrist Superstar became like church.
Yeah, because that was a stage show as much as an album.
A ceremony. It was bananas. And then from then on, it just got crazier and crazier. So yeah, I think that what Bill said, trying to stick with, like a band like Goblin, the Goblin, you go see Goblin, it's instrumental and it's evil and it's horror themed with like imagery. I like stuff like that. Like when John Carpenter was doing his tour and he was just playing all of his music from his movies and they were showing the scenes behind it. You can't, Dave, you'll agree with me. You can't watch the movie Halloween and take the music out of it and expect that movie to still be a fantastic movie. There's no way.
No, the music is 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's kind of like what I like to see is the whole a giant show put together with imagery and all that craziness.
And you just hit it. You said what we've all been saying. All of the stuff that a band does to get it's kind of like, when you're going for an eye exam, like for certain things, they're like, okay, left eye, right eye, whatever. Okay, open both eyes and then tell me what you read. You know what I mean? You got to have both eyes open to see what you need to
Right.
see. It's not just
Right.
part of it. It's not just this or this. Everything that band does, all those little things bring all that stuff together, which makes them, you know, in our minds, and you know, 8 million people or 20 million people listen to them in all these other people's minds. So,
Well, before we get to our list, I wanted to reference the interview that's coming up after we're done here with our list, which is you've heard him before. It's Dan Spain from the band Down the Sun and Dogs of Neptune. But Dan, as you guys may know, if you listen to the new metal episode, Dan was he was right in the middle of the formation of Slipknot, being that he's from Des Moines, and he was playing in bands at that time, and he was playing in bands with the guys from Slipknot before Slipknot even existed. So he's got a really unique perspective on the formation of Slipknot, and he's going to tell some really cool stories about, you know, him being there for literally the genesis of Slipknot, and he was there when it was all going down, and he was almost in Slipknot at one point. So that's a cool interview that's coming up when we're done, and it's a nice look into the beginning of Slipknot that is truly from a unique perspective that you're not going to hear anywhere else. So
yeah, and I got real quick, Dave, on that. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's, can you read it? Yeah, see James Root right there, Dan Spain.
Oh yeah,
I see that.
yeah.
Yeah, Dan Spain. Yeah, yeah.
James Economaki also played, but if you look on the back too, there's Jim Root right there.
Oh yeah.
And this is the Dead Front album that he was talking about, that he was nice enough to send me, and he sent me some Dogs of Neptune CDs for you guys too. I just gotta fucking get them out to you. But
very cool, very
excellent.
cool. Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
you know, James or Dan will bring and talk a lot about James and everything else, and yeah, Dave hit the nail on the head. That the interview we did with him was really cool. I mean, Dan's a fucking, probably one of the best drummers to ever play. I mean, especially the metal genre or heavier stuff. Just a really cool guy. Phenomenal drummer. It's pretty cool the way he talks about he got into Down the Sun and the way they got signed. And you know, if you haven't heard Down the Sun, go and listen. They're on Spotify. They have just the one album. It's fucking great, man.
But he's, like I said, he's a guy that was there, knows all the guys in Slipknot, saw everything as it was happening, could see, you know, the momentum building, and, you know, saw as people were kind of moving from band to band, and it was all forming and coming together. So all right, we're gonna
lost his guitar player to go play.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna move into our top 5 bands that wear masks or makeup. So I'll start with you, Lord Gates. Give me your top 5 bands that wear masks or makeup.
All right. Number 5, I'm going with the Misfits. Misfits. I mean, they're fucking amazing, dude. Everything about them.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Know it.
And when I say the Misfits, okay, I mean the original Misfits, okay? I mean, I do like the 2 albums that were done with Michael Graves. I don't dismiss those. I don't like anything else after that. I don't like the stuff that Jerry Only was doing. I like original Misfits, okay?
Or current Misfits, because Dave Lombardo's playing drums, and it's the three out of the 4 original members.
Right, exactly. Number 4, I'm going with Mayhem. You know, Mayhem just created it, man. They created that evil sound, and they created that evil look, and I wish I was into them earlier. I didn't get into them till a few years after they had died. well, when Pell had died, when Dead had died. But they have just been so influential for that genre that I just could not mention them. They're still one of those bands I still listen to today as well. Okay, number 3. I fucking love this guy, and we have not mentioned him yet. King Diamond. King Diamond,
of course,
is just the most amazing voice, and the different types of makeup that he did, you know, for different albums, and the concept, and Grandma, I mean, just amazing. And I actually, you know, Dave, I think if you took the makeup away from King Diamond, I still would love everything that he's done, because he has just one of those unbelievable metal falsetto voices.
Oh yeah.
And the
Hell yeah.
lineups are just unbelievable for unreal. Okay, number 2, I'm going with Kiss because they're fucking Kiss and they rock and they're amazing. And if you don't like Kiss, I don't like you.
Kiss my ass.
Exactly.
Right.
And my number 1, and then I have a runner-up. My number 1 is Guar because I got into Guar on the Scumdogs of the Universe, went and saw them live, got shit all over me, literally shit all over me, and thought it was the most bizarre thing. I'd never seen anything like that live. Ever, cutting people's heads off and Gorgor coming out and Sly Menstra with the fire and just Sleazy blowing someone's head off and just it was and I've seen most of the tours for every album except for a couple of them. And when I moved down to North Carolina, one of the first shows I went to was at the House of Blues in South Carolina, and I went and saw Guar, and I got to interview at the time let's see, who was it? It was the bass player, Beefcake the Mighty. He's left now. I think Casey Orr is back with him now, but
he's in that other band, right?
Well, he went school bus driver or something too. And Sawborg Destructo, who's been in the band as a kind of a background figure for years and years and years, and just helped out with the band. And those guys hit it right, where they were art students. They wanted to do something shocking, and it just got bigger and bigger. And nobody could have done the job that Dave Brockie did. I don't think there could have been a different Odorous Orungus. I really don't think. Brockie was just that personified. Amazing. All right. And then, so my runner up on here is Ghost, because I too love Ghost and I pretty much love all their shit. I really love their first 2 albums. And I think that the whole, who is this guy? Who are these guys? You never knew who the hell they were, was really, really, really pushed that band into people liking them and wanting to find out more. And yeah, their newer stuff's gotten kind of poppy, what is it? Pope Star and Prickwell and just, it's, rats, K-pop. It's like K-pop. Hey, how you doing? But it's still cool. Okay, Kiss did a disco song, people. Kiss did a disco song. We got over it. Okay, we loved it.
They did a disco album.
Yeah, they did a disco album, So you can deal with this band Ghost, poking fun at religion and just being on stage, and they're great musicians. They're amazing musicians. So that's my runner-up is Ghost. And I have a list of bands we didn't mention, like Bloody Hammers is another great one that's amazing.
Yeah, great fucking band.
And hold on, wait a minute. I want to mention there was one more I forgot that I want to mention. Hold on a minute. Okay. So not as much makeup as other bands, but still adds to it, is Turbo Negro.
Yeah, I had looked at them, but I'm like, they're real close to this, but I thought of them too, because they're fucking awesome, especially with the singer now.
Who is it?
Awesome band, Dukes of Nothing.
Dukes of Nothing. That's right.
Yeah, he used to sing in Dukes with one or two of the guys from Iron Monkey. So
I think the only other band that's really kind of doing it live, kind of the new thing now, is that band, and I kind of like them, is Avatar. You know them?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Avatar.
I've heard the name.
Lead singer kind of looks like a Joker character.
They have that Harlequin Joker type vibe.
And they wear all those like period timepiece outfits and stuff, but they're good musicians as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, sir. So, Wild Bill, what's your top 5 bands with masks or makeup?
I'm going to talk about my honorable mentions first. First honorable mention is going to be The Locust, because I got to see those guys that wore like these green bug outfits, and they were fucking insane. I saw them in Ybor. I don't even remember when the fuck it was, but they come out in these green outfits, and they were like all over the fucking place. And they have just some really, really crazy fucking song titles and everything else. They're kind of like the band Every Time I Die. I Die. if you fucking made them even a little bit heavier and crazier. That's to me what they remind me of. I you know, the only close analogy or whatever that I could come up with is them. So the Locust, check them out. Dave Lombardo liked them. He was a big fan of them. And I heard him talking in an interview. They're like, what bands do you kind of like or listen to, or whatever? And it was something about the Locust. So they're pretty good. They're fucking crazy. Another band, the guys in the band wore makeup and other fucked up weird costumes and outfits, but the lead singer kind of did. She was just fucking nuts. And it's Wendia Williams, and the band is the
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Plasmatics.
Plasmatics.
Oh, yeah.
I
Those guys
fucking
are
Of
love
course,
awesome.
dude.
Oh, I
God.
totally forgot about
Well, that ties
So
into
if
our Motorhead.
Yeah.
So if you think, yes, she was fucking very close and very tight with Lemmy of Motorhead.
Yeah. Stay clean.
This chick would fucking blow up cars. She would take every show, they would take a guitar, strap it up, and she would fucking chainsaw it in half. She usually would go out on stage with like a pair of panties and a bra, and her titties would be bouncing around, or she'd just go out there with like electrical tape over her nipples and just do the whole show
like a
that.
big mohawk sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
she had a mohawk sometimes she had longer hair. It was sad because she, as much of a performer as she was, she did have you know, like a drug problem. And I know Lemmy was close with her and he partied with her a lot and tried helping her, and it got to the point where I think she was just like, fuck it. And I think she ended up committing suicide. But that band, if you want to see some crazy videos where like they do a bunch of wild shit, just watch any of the Plasmatics videos. And I think that they were one of those older bands, or one of the bands that kind of helped people not give a fuck and push through it. I know Gigi Allen said that, you know, he thought she was the best female singer and the best performers ever. I mean, coming from Gigi Allen, who gives a fuck, because he was a fucking asshole.
He was a
I know
mess
they were
himself.
friends before he went really crazy, and then
Right.
you know, but yeah, check out Wendia Williams and the Plasmatics. All right, so my list, I'm gonna go 5 to 1, so like the Doors song.
Nice.
So number
5
5,
to 1, baby.
Yeah.
see, number 5 is gonna be Rob Zombie. We already talked about Rob Zombie. Jay said it best. You got a guy that dropped out of film school and all that stuff, so he knows about filming and props and how to, you know, get a shock value out of things, or, you know, look at all the movies that he's done.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't like his Halloweens that he did. I don't mind them. I like them.
I like him.
But I cannot. I mean, I love House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. They are
Great
fucking
movies.
violent. They are not something you want to watch with your kids.
No, not with your kids. No.
But they are.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on,
one,
Dad.
The first one is just the House of a Thousand Corpses. To me, is just
It's a
got
mess.
so many fucking great one-liners in it. From
Yeah,
Sid
that
Haig.
you're right.
That's a hard
Spalding.
watch.
Dude, you're right.
sometimes.
And Otis.
The dialogue on that is just as good
It's
as the.
fucking
No, I love that
amazing.
movie.
Yeah.
I
And
love
this,
that
just
movie.
think about this. That whole, like the whole state, like the whole setup, the whole movie
Right.
was like flawless. Like he got the time period. There's nothing in that was fucked up. And I just watched him talk about that with Joe Rogan on how he made that whole thing, and Universal's like, oh yeah, we can't do nothing with this, so you're gonna take this shit and get the fuck out of here. So he took it, shopped it around, was able to release it like 3 or 4 years later.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah, through Lionsgate. Yep.
yeah, so as far as his music, he's got a lot of songs that come from things that you see in House, like Pussy Liquor and House of a Thousand Corpses. I think he's got a song called that or something.
Dr. Satan.
Yeah, but he's got his stage show ever since he broke away. I think White Zombie was kind of, they're good. They have some really good songs.
Mhm.
But I think when he went on his own, he was able to break away and like, fuck, I'm in control of this fucking battleship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm going to do this. I want fire. I want fucking monster shit. I want a giant robot dick to come out here and fucking do crazy shit. You know, I want all this awesomeness out here.
Mhm.
And it was such a fucking visual overload. People were like, holy shit, like, this is fucking awesome. Like, who is this crazy bastard?
Oh yeah.
So I think Rob Zombie, and I don't know if you guys have heard his new song. It's fucking heavy, dude. His new song that just came out is one of the heaviest things he's done. John 5 it's fucking on fire.
Nice.
And you think about
That guy's
his
incredible.
band now has got John 5, who's one of the best guitar players fucking ever. Let
Ever.
alone today. He's
Mhm.
probably the best guitar player that's around
Yeah,
today.
he's amazing.
you know, rest in peace, Eddie. He was a huge fan of Eddie Van Halen.
Mhm.
Loved Eddie. Very respectful, respectful towards Eddie. Eddie, I think he's jammed with Eddie. He's, he was semi friends with him.
Mhm.
He's a fucking phenomenal guitar player. Still played with Raw. He's played with Rob Halford. He's played with a ton of bands. Then you got Ginger Fish on drums. Ginger Fish grew up around a lot of the jazz and swing stuff and shit like that. His drumming is fucking over the top. He is so much more than just a metal drummer. He's fucking phenomenal. Piggy D on bass. Guy plays guitar, played bass. He's played with Amen and a bunch of other bands. So Rob Zombie's got a fucking stacked band. Like, he doesn't fuck around when it comes to picking band members.
Right.
He knows what he wants. And these guys, like, listen to that new song. It's like something freak, but it's heavy. It's good. So that's my number 5. Number 4, Marilyn Manson. He came out. The first album came out. I was still in the Marine Corps. I think I ended up buying it and listened to it. I'm like, oh, this is fucking good. It's crazy. It's It's freaky shit. It's different. I think we're all burnt out on a lot of shit. I think I got that and one of the Deicide albums at the same time. So I was like, oh, this is fucking great. Like, I got this crazy fucking death metal and I got this crazy, whatever the fuck this guy is, this chick dude, crazy fuck. So
that's right.
And I've seen him a bunch of times. It's one of the bands
that's a new t-shirt
that I can listen to with my wife, because she's never seen him with me, but I've seen him a bunch of times. But we can listen to him and in the car, and there's no fights and shit. So Marilyn Manson is fucking live. Another guy that knows fucking guitar players and knows band members.
Yeah,
the dude had John 5 from Rob Zombie in his band. Had Ginger Fish in his band. Yep. So, another dude that's fucking talented. And if you ever watch any of his videos, they're fucking out there too. They're crazy as fuck. So, which is good. I don't like just the normal shit. I want to be shocked. I want something that's gonna go, whoa, what the fuck? I'm a little uncomfortable right now, but I like it. So, Manson's number 4. Number 3, Greg already said it. The Misfits. I'd be a fucking asshole if I didn't put the Misfits on this
fucking
list.
Right.
I mean, it's the Misfits.
Same here.
That's all I need to say. Yep. We all love the Misfits.
Mm-hmm.
I don't listen to them as much as I probably should, but I do listen to them quite a bit. They're on my playlists and stuff. I listen to Danzig more than the Misfits, but I do love the Misfits, especially now that a lot of the Misfits stuff sounds good. It's on Spotify. It's easy to get. So number 3, Misfits.
Bill, what I was thinking? The Misfits to us is what the Ramones were to people a little bit younger, a little bit older than us. That's how I looked at the Misfits. That's my shit. Yep.
So
Misfits. There you go.
Fuck right yeah. Sam Hain too. Sam Hain too.
Oh,
Sam
fuck
Hain's
yeah.
got some really
good.
good
And Danzig.
Yeah,
Danzig. 4 Danzig records are flawless.
Amazing.
Yeah, but the only band that they were makeup with was the Misfits.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was awesome with his solo stuff. Number 2, got the CD. We already talked about this. I got the CD from Dave. Dave said, hey, you got to check these fucking guys out, man. They're fucking insane. Gave me the CD, still got it. Listened to it, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, listening to it, coming from, what we were playing at the time, because we had Shiver at the time. We were playing straight up Sabbath, Fu Manchu. Sabbath has some freaky shit. Fu Manchu is just straight ahead, fucking punch you in the face, balls, fuzzy rock. And then going into, Sabbath has some different stuff. They have some crazy overtones and keyboards and here and there. But listening to Slipknot, I was like, where the fuck what planet are these guys from?
Yeah, that's true. That's
so much happening in every fucking song.
Yeah.
And the next one got better and better and better. Like, to me, there's very few songs of theirs that I think are shit. There's some that I don't like or I'm not as attracted to. But I don't think they've written a lot of shit, a lot of garbage, especially with Paul Gray, because I know Paul Gray was a huge part of Slipknot and they've admitted that. But Slipknot, I've seen him a bunch of times. Also, a funny story, Dave and I were at what was that, West Palm, Dave?
Mm-hmm.
We saw him. And I seen him walking by Jim Root, speaking to Jim Root earlier. And I just something said, hey, that's Jim Root. So I said, hey, man, you're in Slipknot, right? And he was like, what do you say, Dave? Like, how the fuck do you know that?
Yeah, he was like, He looked at you like, how do you know? How did you know that? You're like, well, you're a big, tall guy. You're sweating because he was like, he had looked like he was drenched practically.
Yeah, he had the blonde hair. Like the dude had a fucking mask, but all the blonde hair sticking out. So, and then I've met him. I've talked to him a couple times since then. Reagan and I were in Orlando at the House of Blues to go see him play. And he was trying to get us in, and we just went there. We just knew they were playing that day. We didn't buy tickets or whatever. And we're like, yeah, okay, now it's cool. I just want to say hi to you. But they were, because Kitty was playing with them, which is a fucking horrible band. Yeah. But Slipknot, my number 2. And my number one is going to be ABBA. No, my number 1 is fucking easily figured out. The band that made me want to play drums, want to be a musician, want to just do every fucking thing that they were talking about in their songs at 9 years old, 8 years old, which is Kiss. I'm like this fucking 8-year-old little peckerhead going, yeah, man, I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna party, I'm gonna do all this shit. I'm 8, yeah, I'm ready. Let's fucking
That's right, dude. King of the nighttime world, baby.
That's right. So Kiss, my number 1. The band, obviously, all their stuff with makeup. There's a couple turds here and there, but every album
turd in the punch bowl.
Yeah. Well, that'd be good if it stuck out like a turd in the punch bowl. But there's
still
albums
Kiss,
that
though.
have it's Kiss. Some albums have. There's not an album that is all of it's completely shit, unless you talk about some of the solo albums.
Yeah.
But like all their albums, there's at least 1 or 2 songs that can salvage the album. When they took the makeup off, I think my favorite 2 albums with the makeup off are Revenge and Carnival of Souls. I think those 2 are my 2 favorite with the makeup off. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
All right, rock and roll. So, before we move on to Jamie, I just wanted to cap off a sad story. Wendia Williams did commit suicide in Storrs, Connecticut.
Yeah,
she used to hang out around
Geodesic
Yukon.
Dome. Yeah.
She used to hang out around Yukon. She would actually go to punk rock shows around Yukon.
Yeah, she was 48. That was 1998. Storrs, Connecticut. She committed suicide. And an interesting side note: we've been mentioning Rob Zombie and we've been mentioning Ghost. I do believe Sean Yzult is the anonymous bass player of Ghost.
Really?
So
that's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
Isn't it like there's a
Full
tattoo on the finger or something? They
And
came
she's
up
got a
with?
chick mask, right, Dave? I think
Right.
she wears
Yes,
Like
yes,
that
there
girl,
are a couple
yeah.
of girls. There's at least I think 2 girls now in Ghost.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
like the hair. The hair looks like a girl's part or something like that, or it's a perm or some shit.
All I know is there was a shot of the band from the back. There was a shot of the band from the back, and one of them has a really nice ass. So I was like,
So you're like-
that better be a girl.
That's
She
the
just
singer.
made me
Probably
horny, so
not.
it better be a girl.
Probably not.
Damn, dude, you've been doing a lot of squats. Look at
Dave.
an ass on that. You must
White-
work out
Wipe browser history, Dave. Wipe browser history.
like Dumb and Dumber. Look at the butt on that.
Yeah.
You must work out.
Let's work out.
All right, Jay, man, what are your top 5 masks, makeup bands, Jay?
Well, I'm going to narrow it down just because I pick a band and a certain album specifically because, especially with my honorable mention, the band by itself through history would not particularly qualify, maybe because of some of the glam aspects. Honorable mention for 1983, Shout at the Devil, Motley Crue.
Fuck yeah.
Because of the fact that it was purposely, guided that it had a real dark imagery. It was specifically the band being uniform in the fact that they had a same type of style, the stage presence. It was kind of ties in with that Opus, Misfits, Rob Zombie. It's scary, it's dark. So I'm going to give Motley Crue 1983 Shout at the Devil.
Fuck yeah.
Honorable mention. Number 5, because this particular album came out in 2010 and it turned me on to the band thanks to Dave. It's Ghost. It's the first album, Opus. Love the poppy, catchy, but also the religious aspects, which kind of ties into the fact that Kiss, Paul Stanley said that being on stage was a religious sacred experience. And the only way you can honor that is to get up there with some sort of dress code. You can't just show up with jeans. So I think that was important. Number 4, 1998, Rob Zombie went solo as Rob Zombie. Elevated the stage show and his artistic leanings with Hellbilly Deluxe. And the associated tour with that, man, he did something on that tour that you definitely said that was something Kiss would do. That's Kiss-esque in its way of doing it, you know? So you got it. And thanks, Bill, for tying in Rob Zombie, because that perfect right up there. Number 3, Alice Cooper, specifically 1975, Welcome to My Nightmare. You know, great. Dark imagery, spooky, Halloween-esque. You know, you could see a lot of influence from Arthur Brown before, and you can see how he influenced Rob Zombie.
Fucking
number
crazy
2
video though, Dave. Jason.
Yeah,
that's some weird shit, man.
It is
a fucking alcoholic, man.
Yeah,
like
dude,
hardcore
people with sideways faces dancing, and the horns come on. There's a monster, and you're like, what?
Yeah, he drank wasn't it lots of
wine and vodka and
vodka. I was gonna say vodka.
He drank.
You put that much vodka in you, and you're gonna
He directed that. Yeah, he was like
he directed that.
He tried. I think he was one of the creative directors.
Wow.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. That's why you're like, what the fuck?
A lot of you bring up a good point. Go ahead. I was gonna say
you're right though, Jason, because that album, even that album, just it shows what he is. Like, he had Vincent Price on it, man, which was cool as shit with the little voiceover and stuff. You know, the Black Widow, and then you have the other opposite end of it, where you're listening to the song, We Go Dancing in, and it's like this weird kind of poppy, but then it gets evil, and then it comes back to pop. So you're right, he was kind of one of these.
Was the Ballad of Dwight Fry on that?
No, that was on Love You to Death. I think that was on Love You to Death.
Just a fucking,
but that album alone set the stage for the whole makeup and the transformation of Alice. Yeah. So I agree.
And there's something you just, I don't know if we've picked up on this, but the word catchy or the word pop, it kind of fits my whole list here, because not to say that it's weak in that it's poppy, it's that these guys all can write songs that are so catchy.
Yeah.
To the way that most of them
catchy. Yep.
To the way that most of the guys look back to famous early rock and roll and say, hey, what are the songs that you would sing along with? They're so good that they stick in your brain because the choruses are perfect.
Yeah.
Got bands that had choruses and sing choruses. So I go into which is why my number 2 is kind of
at the top there. Cooper's at the top of that.
And you could see that, and when we get to my number 2 and my number 1, catchy songs that will last through time, because everybody will sing them regardless of when they start listening to these bands. These songs you will sing. So I go to 1982. I go to the guys from Lodi, New Jersey, and Glenn Danzig and his boys, the Misfits, and how, I mean, if you go to the first album, if you go to the original demo and it's Glenn with a keyboard through a fuzz pedal, and then you go to the full stage ensemble, I go Walk Among Us, because I think it's the epitome of them portraying the horror, 1950s horror movie soundtrack, but that it's heavily distorted. And at this point, the lyrics are pretty violent. They're horror movies, but if you listen to the lyrics on Skulls, and you're like, okay,
yeah,
but you're singing along, you're like, Skulls, you're like how do you turn,
what's my skull?
Like,
I don't know
how do you turn that into a pop song? And he does it. They do it, and you can just imagine what it would be like to be at that tour, and you're just like, these guys are putting on a show, and it's pretty scary. And
man,
they're punching you in the face, and they're yelling at the sound guy, and they're like, hey,
turn it up back there, bastard, get out of the way.
Kicking fucking tune up.
Somebody would like climb on stage, and Danzig just grab him and kick him and
throw him
fucking
throw him off the stage, punch him
in the head with the bass, and the Annihilator or whatever it was, the Defilator, the Masturbator, whatever his fucking thing's called. Yeah, you're right, man. Another great one.
Yeah, so we all pretty much have the same list, it sounds like, but
pretty much.
Number 1, like Bill said, dude, what got me into rock and roll, jumping off the couch in the cellar into the air with a acoustic guitar in my hand, like I was Paul Stanley, into listening to Destroyer album. Like I am gonna rock this. You know, it's freaking King of the Nighttime World. It's God of Thunder. When you, like you said, I'm 9 years old. I'm gonna live all these songs out. You know how we must have looked on the playground at our elementary schools because we thought we were in Kiss.
You know what?
That's how badass we were.
We didn't
give a
fuck.
fuck.
Nobody cared.
On, there was two types of kids in my school, in my elementary school, or you know, fucking not pre-K, but like first, second, well, fourth grade, third grade.
Yeah.
You either liked Kiss or you like fucking the Bay City Rollers. You didn't like Kiss. You
That's
came around us and
dude,
talked shit.
absolutely truth.
You got punched or pushed down.
F-A-T-U-R-D-A-Y. Shoot that mother.
Yeah.
My band can beat up your band.
Yes.
With one boot, one stiletto.
Boot to the cool.
Yeah, boot to the cool.
Yeah, that's why I got to give a shout out 1976 Destroyer. Like Dave said, it was the most epic Kiss production, and it stands the test of time against all of the heavyweight rock and roll albums. And that's why you can go city to city and you will hear Kiss on the radio somewhere, and it'll be from that album, you know.
I agree.
So yeah, that's my
We haven't
list,
done
man.
a top 5 Kiss yet, have we?
No, we have not.
Oh shit.
I don't know if we can do that. There's too much. There's
no.
Like
Dynasty,
what, top 5
Unmasked.
albums, top 5 tours, top 5 songs, top 5 lineups,
top 5
top 5
groupies.
toys, top 5 toys, Kiss toys.
So speaking of don't want anybody to look on Google, but speaking of Walk Among Us, who was the drummer on Walk Among Us? Don't look it up.
Don't look it up.
Knows. Does anybody know who was the drummer?
I'm gonna say it was either one of 3 people. It was either Robo, it was either Glenn Danzig himself, or it was
I think it was Robo.
Steve. Was it Steve?
Was that young? No.
London?
No.
Was it London May? I don't know. Was it
No,
one of those 3?
Oh shit.
Was it someone really young?
I don't know his name, but it's the other 3 guys are the ones you expect. Of course, it's Glenn and it's Jerry Only and it's Doyle, but the drummer is somebody I've never heard of.
His name was that guy that's got like he sells all the Misfits shirts now,
and shit.
Saying
Who is it?
He played on that all. He's got like a bunch of shitty tattoos. I don't remember his name.
Who is it?
His name is Arthur Googie.
Oh, he's in the
Holy
he's
shit.
in the,
Let's go check it.
I think he's in the documentary on them. I think they do mention him in the
the guy that has all the shitty tattoos now and sells the shirts.
He played on Walk Among Us, Evil Live.
All right, here we go. Joseph Arthur McGuckin, March 19th, 1961, Jackson Heights, New York. Okay.
Yeah.
Drummer for, let's see, where else does he go?
Legacy of Brutality.
Die Die My Darling EP.
Yeah, he might be the guy. He hit me up on Instagram, like friend. I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Huh.
And then it had
Arthur
he sells these Misfits shirts. If it's the same guy, he's got like a bunch of shitty tattoos and
sweet.
I don't know, he's had cancer or whatever the fuck. I think he lives in like Daytona or something now. Somewhere down there.
Arthur Googie.
If it's the same guy.
Dave's gonna be like
saying that
Dave's gonna be laying in bed and he's gonna be going Gookie.
Oh, a question for you, Gates, Lord Gates.
Sure.
Where do you watch? Where can I find this Misfits documentary?
It was on YouTube.
Okay.
It's a fan base put together. I'll send you the link to it.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
So, and just this interesting, Jerry Only states in the book American Hardcore, which I have, that he attributed a significant amount of success for the album Walk Among Us to Arthur's dedication to the music and rehearsals. Interesting.
All
Interesting.
Right.
All right. So
he's a dick to interview.
So I'm going to, my list is just a little bit different. I just went with my top 5. I wanted it to be something to do with the bands that I think made the most effective use of masks or makeup, or at least to me, their use of it was particularly important or significant. So my honorable mention is Twisted Sister. I just think, they didn't
respect.
With Twisted Sister, I don't think, the one thing that I will say is they didn't incorporate it really that much into like a stage set. but I will give them credit because they were in the beginning. They weren't more as drag, and they took a lot of shit for that. Like they had to.
Another band had to have balls to do it.
Yeah,
they were fucking ugly. They were,
and D was not above. D was not above jumping in the crowd and punching somebody in the face for calling him whatever they called him. You know what I mean? So I give them a lot of credit for doing the drag thing, and then if you haven't seen it, you guys, whoever out there, if you haven't seen it, you have to watch that documentary.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Because
it's pre.
Yes, it's pre Stay Hungry. Yes,
it
ends as Stay Hungry is about to be released. So
which was cool. I like the way they did that.
Yeah,
that
and I had no idea how hard they worked or how big they were without even getting signed. So major props to Twisted Sister. My number 5 is Slipknot. We've covered it. All you guys have already covered it, but I think for me, what I take away from Slipknot is their dedication to the masks, not just on stage, but like the fact that they made it part of everything that they did. Like when they would practice, apparently they would like practice in a place where they would actually turn the heat up. I mean, they made the mask part of their identity to the point where it was like, we want to feel horrible. And that's part of the music. So wearing the masks and sweating and vomiting in the masks on stage, that was all part of making themselves feel as horrible as they wanted the music to be portrayed. So they use the masks not just for the outward appearance of it, but for how it made them feel. So, and I think that was particularly important to their music as well. So it wasn't just about the aesthetic of wearing a mask; it actually played into their music and the creation of their music. My number 4 is Ghost. I love their first album and their third album. So I don't love everything they've done, especially since I think they've gotten a bit poppy. But to me, when I saw them, it was so striking to me that they had these, as you've mentioned, Jay, poppy type choruses, like really catchy. Like Ritual is a super catchy chorus, it's about human sacrifice and satanic worship, which is so crazy, the juxtaposition of that. But like seeing that when they were just doing festivals when they first started, and I saw them with the Papa wearing the bishop's robe and the other people wearing the anonymous Nameless Ghouls mask, something about that aesthetic just hit me. I was like it just grabbed me, and I definitely think it made me more of a fan of that band to see what they were doing visually. And I do love them to this day. I hope their next album is better than their last one, because I'm just not a big fan of the real poppy kind of version of Ghost. My number 3 is Guar. They obviously, as Greg's done a better job than I'm going to do pointing this out, but for Guar, it wasn't just masks. This was the full body, and it wasn't just that. It was they had personas, they had characters. It was Odorous Urungus. It wasn't Dave Brockie. It was a character, and they all had characters, and they told a story. And when you went to a Guar show, it was, it was like going into another world. I mean, I think me and Bill, I remember one time we tried to go see them at the State Theater, and it was so packed that we just couldn't, or it was wasn't the State. I think it was the
Janice.
No, we saw him in Ybor. It was at
no, not Janice. It was the Masquerades.
Yes. And it was played with them. They oversold it, and it was so we couldn't stay. It was just you couldn't even. It was so packed that you couldn't even move in that place. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like their music. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, when you went to see a Guar show, dude, there was nothing like that, man. There's still to this day.
It was unpredictable.
Guar show.
You never knew what was going to happen. It was unpredictable.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to interview them right on camera right before they went on stage at the Rock and Shock convention in Massachusetts. And man, dude,
what year was that? Show,
oh gosh, maybe like 04. No, it was like 04.
Okay.
Around 2004, I think it was 2004, 2005.
So Brockie's still alive.
Yes.
Was the guitar still alive? The one that passed away?
Yeah, he had to be. He just died over the last like 2 or 3 years.
No, he's been dead for a while. Because Pustulus took over for him on Battle Maximus like 2013, 2012, I think. So yeah, so you saw him with he had like a flesh mask. His mask looked like it was like flesh. And he had like these giant Mastodonian looking things coming off of him, like green things. I can't remember. I can never remember his name. He was something Maximus. And dude, that lineup was amazing. That lineup was unbelievable that you saw.
Yeah, and like I said, they were, and you've already done a better job again of mentioning it than me, but their um their commitment to the character and the live show. I mean, this was a production, man. This was this was a play on stage. I mean, this wasn't just music, man. They were, but I liked their music too. And that you asked me this question, or asked the question before, Greg. Had you ever heard a band's music before you knew that they wore masks? And they have a song on Hatchet 3. So the movie starts with a song called "Hail Genocide," and I didn't know the band.
You didn't know who it was?
I didn't. No, I didn't. And then I'm like, oh my God, I love this song. Who is this? And then I looked it up and it was Guar. So I mean, so they weren't just about the look either. They actually made some pretty freaking good music. So so that's my number 3. My number 2, as far as effectiveness of the makeup, I have to say Mayhem, because what they did with corpse paint changed an entire genre of music. I mean, I don't know that black metal would have become what it became had it not been for corpse paint. And I have to give the credit to that, apparently to Dead, and somewhat to Euronymous, but mostly to Dead, who just had this idea of, we want to look, what can we do to look dead? I mean, this dude was like so committed to death, like he like killed cats and hung them around the house. And I mean, this dude was, I mean, if you read the book Lords of Chaos or see the movie, I mean, there's a reason why his nickname was Dead, because the dude wanted to die. Like, he wanted to die, and he surrounded himself with death. And their idea of looking dead was the corpse paint. But again, it changed everything for an entire genre of music. I mean, corpse paint was like everything to black metal. You can't have, or at least then you could not have black metal without corpse paint. Right. So give Mayhem a ton of credit for that. And of course, we've all said, I mean, dude, I wouldn't be who I am today. Kiss was everything to me. I mean, Kiss was literally everything to me when I was a kid. I don't know if you could see the My King of the Nighttime. You guys have already seen it. I don't know if Greg's seen it, but My King of the Nighttime World.
Oh, cool.
See the King card. We got Gene and Paul. I mean, and as far as the use of makeup, I mean, dude, would they have been big without the makeup? I don't know. But all I do know is they changed the world by wearing makeup. Everybody in the world knew who they were because of their characters. You know what I mean? It wasn't just makeup. It was characters. It was, the spaceman and the Catman and the Star Child and the Demon. And the anonymity of the band, like the whole, they were like this and taking pictures. I mean, that whole thing was such a big thing in the 70s, man. What does Kiss look like without the makeup and all that stuff? I mean, it was a worldwide phenomenon. There's never been a more effective use of makeup in a band than Kiss, and there never will be again. I mean, because it hit in the 70s before social media and all that stuff. I mean, it was at a time where the fact that you didn't know who they were was such a big deal, and all that. I mean, and it lent itself to all the stuff that we bought, the toys and the lunch boxes and all the other stuff, the posters. I mean, we surrounded ourselves with that because of how cool it looked. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I did listen to Kiss and I sat there and looked at the gatefold of Alive and Alive 2 while I listened to it, because it all tied together, and like my son just said, he was like, yeah, you have the other Kiss without the makeup, but it's not the same to him, like it's when they created the makeup and played those shows with the makeup, that's what made it.
It's like powerful. A live comic book.
Yeah,
it absolutely is. Yeah. You mentioned it, Bill.
Yeah. Yep.
Kabuki, man. The fact that you pulled that's it. It's going back to an ancient form of theater,
Senior action figures come to life on stage.
Hey, Greg, Corey Smoot was the guitar player we were talking.
That's it, Corey Smoot. Yeah, and he was Flatulus Maximus. Is that his name?
Something like that.
You gotta love that. You gotta love that shit. That's like
you gotta love it, baby.
But yeah, so I'm glad this was a cool episode. I'm glad we got to do this because there some of these bands. I just think it's one of those niches, but these bands are they are better because of the mask and makeup. Let's face it. I mean, I like the fact that some bands have done this because it does add something to it. It definitely adds to the live show. There's no doubt about it. Right. I mean, and we were all lucky enough. I don't know if Jay was, but I mean, just to see Guar, I only saw him a couple of times, but I mean, I wish there were more bands like that. You know what I mean? I wish there were more bands like that did shows like that. Because we're losing it, man. We're losing the amount of bands that will do shows like that. I hope more. Yeah. That's why I hope more say, who's the next Guar? I hope somebody is. And I know they're still active, even without Dave. It's not the same. But, I hope that other bands emerge that will push the envelope live and wear the masks and costumes and do the whole thing, because it definitely does add something to it, especially live. It absolutely does. So,
yeah. Well, and hopefully everybody enjoys the interview with Dan Spain. Like I said, Down the Sun. He's friends with a lot of the guys from Slipknot. I know he still talks to Joey, and Dan still lives in Des Moines, Iowa. He's played with and knows and is friends with a lot of these guys. Still talks to him, sees him around. So hope everybody enjoys that. And listen to what Dan's got to say, man, because it's a fucking. I mean, we did it a little while ago, but it's a good interview, man. He's just a good dude. And he knows a lot about drumming, and he knows a lot about music and or Slipknot, because obviously he's lost his fucking guitar player to Slipknot, and
yeah,
a lot of those guys. So
yeah, you'll hear the whole story, and I really do think it's a perspective that you won't hear anywhere else, and I'm not sure that any even of the guys in Slipknot would be willing to be as honest with an interviewer about how the band formed as Dan was, because he's got he's got no skin in the game, you know what I mean? Like, and he's got no axe to grind either. It's not like he's shit talking. He's just giving you the lowdown of, hey, I was a witness to all this. I played in a band with some of these guys. I saw how it started and how it came together, and kind of saw it take off. So it's a really cool perspective from Dan Spain, and that's coming up. It's coming up literally right now.
Check out Dan's other band that we like. I fucking love them, man. On a Pale Horse. He's got a band called On a Pale Horse that they have two or three albums out. Last one came out probably 8 or 10 years ago, something like that. But check them out. And then he's got Dogs of Neptune that he's playing with now. Phenomenal musicians. Like, he's got the guitar player Josh Brainerd, who was the original guitar player in Slipknot that played on that first album and wrote a lot of that stuff. So
yeah, good point. Glad you brought that up. So
yeah. So all you Slipknot people, you want to hear some good shit. It's not like Slipknot. On a Pale Horse is not like Slipknot at all. But check them out. They're badass. Dan Spain is actually not in On a Pale Horse. He's just friends with those guys. Sorry, I fucked that up, but I don't want to fuck it up. But he's good friends with those guys.
He knows them.
But Josh,
I know
that dude.
Josh is in Dogs and Neptune with him.
Okay.
I always mix those up. So yeah.
All right, cool.
You can tell Bill is a passionate dude, and we all are. So this is good.
Yeah. All right, guys. I gotta go grab some dinner and do all that good stuff. But good pod, and hopefully I'll get this cruising. I only have a couple weeks left in my semester of teaching, so it'll give me a little more free time once the semester's over. So
sweet. Check out that Rob Zombie video. Text me later. Let me guys know what you think.
Okay.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, guys.
Talk to you
All
guys.
right. Cool.
Good night.
See you guys.
See you.